start without Mary Kay. All good. We can wait. We got time.
I guess I'll ask the obvious question. Just Donovan, just the impact that's had on the room, and your thoughts on him being dealt to Detroit.
First of all, I want to say that Donovan Peoples-Jones was just outstanding to be able to coach and have the opportunity to coach when he was here. I have so much respect for him as a player, even more for as a person. He really did everything we asked while he was here, and I'm proud of his accomplishments that he had here as a Browns player for us. Moving forward, I'm excited about the opportunity of others in the room right now. I think that that's really exciting. I know a lot of guys have worked really hard for different roles and different opportunities. But again, can't say enough about what Donovan meant to our team, but also just so excited about the future of our team with our room presently. It's a great room to coach. Those guys learned a lot from Donovan when he was here, I would say, and they're carrying that on with them moving forward, but really just excited about the way that group is right now in the way we've worked.
So one of those guys who could get an opportunity is Tillman, who's been inactive the last couple of weeks. But what have you seen out of him?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is, you go into every game with players in different roles, and that changes weekly. Cedric is one of the players that's obviously in the receiver room that, has been inactive for us here recently, but he's worked extremely hard. I would say what's been most impressive is how he has worked off the field to try to learn the offense and to learn from the veteran players and to try to do the things we're asking of him and to do them at a very high level. And that takes a lot of work. And Ced has put in a lot of work in that area, both in our meeting rooms and doing extra in terms of walkthroughs. And just the time investment has been very impressive of what he's tried to do. So when he does have the opportunity, whenever that comes up, that he's going to make the most of it. But we always tell the players, if you work hard, and are coachable, good things will eventually happen to you in the future. So we're excited about Ced moving forward, and I'm excited about our entire room and the way they work and the opportunity that might present to them that playing in different roles.
Like from a personal level, do you guys talk about in your room about the deadline before it happens? Like, do guys know that something could happen? Or either way, do you address it afterward when a guy like that makes?
Yeah, I mean, during the time, obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty in the NFL around the trade deadline, but we're so consumed and focused on the present for us and the task at hand that really the focus truly is on that for us. So I don't ever hear the guys even in talking through this, or we obviously don't talk about it, in our meetings. We're so focused on, the job at hand and just what we're asked to do. We have so many responsibilities and all that the focus really is on that as much as anything.
I don't think I've ever seen a wide receiver group that talks less. I mean, they'll even acknowledge that they're not a lot of big talkers. At least when it comes to like some might be. But just what do they lack in talking? What do they show in leadership in other ways, especially the older guys, Amari and Elijah and that sort of thing?
Yeah, what a great group this group is that I get an opportunity to coach. Personality-wise, they're not going to say much. They're very quiet as far as their personality. But what we get out of them every day is consistency. We get just their work ethic is awesome. And I think they put it on tape. I think it's almost like say less, do more, and that's what this group does. They might not say a lot, but they're going to go out there every day and practice hard and try to do what's best for the team. I think we got a lot of guys that are really team-first guys in that room. And I think there's nothing more powerful than leading by example, and that's how I would describe our group. You're not going to hear about it. You're not going to, hear them across the way saying much. But what you are going to do is turn on the tape and see their actions really display like team football. So I love the group that's in the room, and I kind of like it standing in front of them because there's no distractions. They're not going to say much of anything, And I think that the one thing is, although they are quiet, they do communicate with each other so well and help each other out. I'm worried to use him as an example. Again, another guy that's quiet in nature and his personality, but he's the first one to really share information with the other receivers, and that's because he's a team guy and he wants to provide them with answers and ways to help them in their game. So that's really the neat part of it with that group.
In this with like the uncertainty with quarterback and who you guys are playing on a week-to-week basis, but for your group as a room, what's kind of the next step that you would like to see them take, just kind of on a game basis?
Yeah, on a game basis, I think there's so many things that we can do better as a group. I always talk to them about it's like ongoing improvement, and we have to improve in some of the areas that not a lot of people see. Whether it's just our attention to detail on being in the specific formations, or our attention to detail in the run game. We ask our guys to be excellent in both the run and the pass. So there's just so many areas that we address with them. There's so many things to work on that we do have enough to work on and get better for sure, and we do that.
Been in a few different places, and some players have talked that you guys just work the screen game a lot here. Is this the place you've been where you guys work the screen game the most? And then for the guys in your room, what does that kind of entail?
Yeah, the screen game is something we've excelled at here offensively, and it doesn't happen by accident. I mean, Kevin does such a great job and with Coach Van Pelt of designing the screens for our game plans, and then we put the time in. Those guys do a great job of working extra in that area. And it's always, you're going to get what you emphasize. And if you emphasize something and you do it enough, you're going to have success doing that. And that's something that I've just been so impressed. And I've learned a lot as a coach being around Kevin and Alex on the screen game. It's something that obviously we benefited from greatly here. And, I've been fortunate just to be around them and learn from it. And I think although the screen design and all that's important, what's probably most important is that our guys go out on the field and they work on it, and they do.
Obviously he's got the body for it, but have you seen enough in practice and preseason that he's a good blocker? I mean, you talked about the willingness of your guys to block. Have you seen enough of that from
Cedric?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cedric, he's one of his traits physically is his physical strength and his size. So I think that, when you have that skill set, you have potential to be a really good blocker in the run game. And to go along with that, you have to have effort in the mentality in combination with the size and strength and the finish to do so. And Cedric has the combination of both. He has a great mentality. We always use the phrase compete in the run game. And I think Ced has definitely done that for us, not always in game settings because he hasn't had the opportunity yet, but something that I know he'll be very good at is competing in the run game and working really hard for us and providing us value in that area.
Is there going to be someone from the group that's going to return punts?
That, I'm focused on so much of what we're doing offensively and with the receiver position. I know I have a lot of confidence in Bubba, and whatever he asks us to do from a special teams end, they're going to do. And that's the one thing that I think as an organization here, we've done a great job of, we're committed to special teams, and our guys know that. Whatever they're asked to do, whether it's, be on the hands team or be on kickoff return or be the returner, whatever we're asked to do, we're going to go do it. And that's, ultimately Bubba's decision and Kevin, and we'll do what they ask us to do. Yep.
taking shots. How's everyone doing? Excellent.
You guys talked about this week, like needing to shore up the run defense. So for your group though specifically, what do you see in that role that they can do better moving forward?
If you ask any of our safeties, our corners, really anyone on our defense, if you ask them when we do our job, their response will be, we win. We have to do our job, essentially. And we don't need to do anyone else's, and we need to do it early, efficient, and clean. Kind of equated to playing golf. I'm not the best golf player in the world, but when you step on the tee box at hole 1, you don't want to put a snowman up, okay? You want to start clean. Now, doesn't mean you're going to birdie it, but you don't want to mess it up to where your scorecard's just obliterated early and you got to play catch up. So for us, in our room, we got to put our eyes where they need to be. We need to set edges. We need to play blocks based off how they're attacking our defensive ends, and we need to attack based off the offense and what they do. That's what run defense is in the safety room. It's put your eyes where they need to be and do what the offense tells you to do based off what their play is.
Your guys are getting asked to play nickel a lot and do a bunch of different things. How have you seen guys sort of embrace all of that different stuff, sort of outside of what a normal safety role would be?
A really good question. We have played a lot of quarter, as we call it. Coach Schwartz calls it. And it's been awesome to see Rod get in there. I sleep better at night when Rod's on the field. I really do, because he's a great executor. He really attacks the game, not just on the field, but off the field in terms of mental preparation at a level I've never really seen. He's done a great job in that area. He gives us great flexibility in terms of our sub packages. And I'll be honest with you, he's been a blessing to coach. Coach Schwartz talks about his experiences with the player, I think it was Keith Bullock when he was a position coach at Tennessee, and how every day he had to bring it in meetings as a coach because he had that type of player in that room. And Rod has done that for me, personally. Rod makes me a better coach because I know I got to attack that meeting and be ready every single day because he's going to ask tough questions and he's going to be prepared. So when you have a guy like that, you feel good if you're Coach Schwartz to put him in the game in those situations because you know he'll execute at a high level. So I think Andrew Barry and Kevin, all the guys bringing him in, it definitely get an extra hour or two of sleep knowing that he's in there playing. So
been able to kind of expand what you guys have been able to do in terms of packages, sub packages, those sorts of things as the season has gone along, as guys have sort of picked the system up.
It's a good question, and Coach talked about that this week. Being able to do multiple things. I think that goes back to us at the beginning of freaking phase 1 and OTAs and forcing our safeties to learn multiple positions, not just being strong, not just being free. You're expanding the learning. You're getting guys to know multiple positions. You're also teaching them the issues and the things that make that position hard. So if they're playing another one, they get it. And then you're exposing them to other positions that they would not necessarily be close to, like a corner, nickel, or quarter, a linebacker. They're doing different things. I think it's also a testament to the room. Those guys work hard. Juan, Grant, Rod, all of them. D. Bell's grown at just understanding and picking up what Coach Schwartz wants us to be. He wants us to be multiple, but not only that in a sense of fronts and coverages, but also as personnel. And as that's grown, as our knowledge has grown, our ability to do more things with the safeties has grown. And I think that's a great asset for us. And if our guys keep attacking it mentally, it gives Coach Schwartz a lot of options to attack offensively.
He's in a tough spot, but Juan on that last touchdown.
Yeah.
Are there coaching points on that?
Absolutely.
What would you tell him after?
The biggest thing for really any DB, but in Juan in that situation, the hardest, I'll say this, with the way that the game has changed in terms of preparation leading into seasons and the lack of contact that is not allowed, this happened in college. I noticed it started happening. And my question was, how's it going to be in the NFL? And I'm seeing the same things. When you're not able to truly make contact until, really preseason, and you have limited reps for guys who don't, starters, they don't get those opportunities to really tackle as much as you'd like early. So I think what you see in the NFL and even in college, you see tackling get better as the season goes on because you're stacking reps. You're getting more chances. Now, to answer your question in a more fine-tuned in that play situation, the biggest thing that you see when you don't tackle a whole lot leading into the season or you're trying to stack reps is guys don't close the ground as much as they need to. And that situation of closing ground and actually making contact and getting a human on the ground is something you got to rep a lot in practice without actually hitting anybody. So that's why you see us always on the bags. You always see us on crash pads and tackling dummies because you still got to train a human to close that ground as much as possible and get near toe forward and get a man on the ground. What Juan and I talked about this, and he's doing better at this, is closing the ground. You got to take the air out of it. What Coach says, don't shoo the chickens. Don't sit there and shoo the chickens. You got to really close ground, take near toe forward, and take your shot. And sometimes in this position at safety, that's the hardest thing to do, period. It's the hardest thing to do in our position. Close ground, make an on-field tackle, because if you don't, it's 7 points. So, that's really what it is, the technique of closing the ground. We can set a hard edge so guys, and really and it doesn't matter if you're playing safety and it's a defensive end or a corner or playing safety. You guys setting hard edges and running through that and closing the ground, no matter if you're in the box or out of the box, is really what it comes down to, which is a collective thing, and that we got to really keep working at doing a good job of that.
High expectations for themselves, obviously,
Yeah.
right? And talk about wanting to be like the best defense in the world. So,
Yeah.
like after that game on Sunday, it sounded like some of them were pretty hard on themselves for letting that scoring drive happen. Just how have you guys seen them, respond as a coaching staff?
It's a really good question. Here's what I told the room yesterday. You can say things. We all can. We can use words. You can put stuff on your chest and wear a T-shirt. But it really doesn't mean anything. You got to go out there and do it consistently, down after down, day after day, over and over. It's like what Coach Schwartz said. They don't pay us for Sundays. Coach Schwartz said it best. That's for free. We all do that in this profession, play, coach for free. They pay us for the other days, the hard days in between, the Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. And that's what being the best defense really is. And we got to do that better and more consistently in the times that you guys get to see for a little bit, but what we live in for the majority of a prep. So for us, I feel like we've been okay, we've been great, and then we've not been great. And it's the true consistency of not just putting a T-shirt and saying those things, or, it's the true consistency of living that every day, which I think we're still learning.
Man, like Ronnie Hickman,
Yeah.
he took the first step, he made the roster. How do you kind of bring him along while he has to be patient and sort of wait his turn?
Ronnie has to field every question that, like if something comes up that Rod's doing or Grant's doing on film, I don't talk to Rod or Grant. I actually talk to Ronnie as if he's in the game. So I got to keep him mentally engaged all the time. I got to make sure that, he's paying attention and he's just not drifting in those meetings, because that is when you lose those guys. Same with, T-Mac and even D-Bell. So for me, it is maybe Grant does something on the tape, but I'll look at Ronnie and I'll say, hey, Ronnie, this is what you need to do. And it just kind of keeps those guys engaged mentally. Off the field, and when we're in practice, I keep cards on me, and I force them to look at the card, know the play, and then watch it. So I'm trying to imprint in their brain as many times as possible, so that when he does get the opportunity, he can execute as well as he can with limited reps.